Address, please.
Thank you. It's Megan Morris. I live at 328 Fruitwood Lane, 37934. I'd like to quote the current lawsuit that several school districts in the Southeast Tennessee have placed against the state to show how the funding and support of high-stakes testing, as opposed to the funding and support of teachers or teachers' aides, affects my school-age children. It states, and even though the state now requires local boards of education to assess their students through various online tests, the state has made no allowance for the purchase of sufficient digital devices so states can take these tests. With regard to RTI, which requires local boards of education to assess struggling students and to provide additional instruction to them, the state has made no allowance for the purchase of the assessment materials or the personnel costs associated with the additional hours of instruction the local boards of education now owe to eligible students. These new demands on local boards of education are in addition to the financial difficulties they already face. Thus, the funding gap is magnified, forcing local boards of education to take drastic steps to meet the financial pressures created by the General Assembly's failure to fund the true cost of public education. In comparatively more affluent Knoxville communities, parents are often expected to pay hundreds of dollars in fees and supplies as part of enrolling their children in free public schools. Our schools have become dependent on these fees. Throughout the year, parents are expected to participate in fundraising activities or to solicit donations from local businesses and foundations. These outside funds defray the cost of operating the schools so that schools administrators are able to hire teachers to teach classes and hire assistants who provide intervention. School reliance on parent fundraising and support is heavy. Schools would not be able to function at the level they are without these fees and fundraising dollars parents bring in, or the volunteer services which parents provide. But let's not forget the teachers themselves oftentimes contribute hundreds of dollars of their own money and volunteer their own time to meet the needs of their students. I gladly contribute my time and energy to such fundraising endeavors for our schools, but I do not support these funds being used to purchase electronic devices for use in high-stakes student assessment, especially when all of the high-stakes testing is done is to take away valuable instruction time, especially when the high-stakes testing culture is developing new teachers that teach to the test rather than the whole child. Knox County school system's priorities are upside down. Let's fund the schools first and then look at adding standardized testing expenditures for classroom time to be taken away from project-based learning in order to test prep on a computer that has been purchased by fundraising from the community is wrong. Bottom line, my children are receiving an inferior education than what they would have gotten before these reforms. I hope you understand that the Board of Education and Superintendent cannot make Knox County schools the best they can be without parents and teachers. Parents and their children need to be given the dignity, not the ability that is already granted, but the dignity by the Board of Education to refuse those very high-stakes tests, standardized tests that are creating this mess. The Board of Education needs to represent the growing number of constituents that are choosing to refuse the testing madness and create a policy supporting those children who refuse the test to do so with dignity and without threats or repercussions. Thanks.